Welcome to Sharps and Flats with Kingsley. Today, everybody, we are doing Balance the Scales. It's number 40 on page 11. So we have this is like a teeter-totter, and we've got to make this side the same weight as this side, or this side have just as many counts as this side, or this side have just as many beats as this side. Now, to some of you, this might seem really easy, and others, this might seem like the light bulb might go off like, oh, okay, I get it now. And that's the person I'm reaching out to right now. When we've done Count the Foods here in Sharps and Flats, on these notes, we've got juices, hot sauce, kiwi, and green eggs and ham. Now, a juice is one beat, a is one beat, a hot sauce is 2 beats, a kiwi is 2, and green eggs and ham is 4 beats. So what you have to do is look at this side of the teeter-totter, count those, add them up, and then put one note or one rest, one of these on this side to make the teeter-totter balance. Okay? So in this case, this is 1 and a, I'm going to move from calling them hot sauces and juice, count the foods. I'm going to call them what we call them rhythmically. So this is a quarter note, and it's 1. This is a quarter rest, and it's worth 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. That's right. So what is one note or one rest you could put on this side that equals 2 beats? And that answer would be, you have to find one over here that equals 2. So you could either put a half note, or you could put a half rest. And if you remember, a half rest kind of looks like a hat. There we go. So 1 plus 1 equals 2, and this is 2, so those kind of equal each other. Okay, now we have a half note on this side. And how many beats or how many counts is a half note? How many beats or how many counts is a hot sauce? And the answer is 2. So what would you have to put on this side to equal this side? If this is worth 2 and we need something that's worth 2 on this side, well, then you need to pick one of these that are worth 2 beats. So I'm going to pick, obviously we could put a half note over there. I'm going to get rid of these guys. So obviously that equals that. But if we were going to put a rest on that side, it would be this one. So you could draw a half rest and color that in. Remember, a half rest, I always remember, I think of half rest is kind of like the word hat. It looks like hat. Hat and half sound similar. Because even after playing music all these years, I'm not kidding. I mix up half rests with whole rests because they're just flipped upside down from each other. And the only reason I read them so well is because in music I can just, if it's a whole rest, it's taking up the whole measure, and if it's a half rest, it's a half a measure. I don't really have to think about it. But when I just look at it like this, I get a little confused, and you could too. Okay, so for the next one, we have a quarter note on this side, or a juice. And what is one note or one rest we could put on this side to equal that side? Now, this is a quarter rest. It's a sh. And you know how I draw it? I think of this. I always say right, left, right, swoop. Or in other words, right, left, right, swoop. Or right, left, right, swoop. That's kind of how I draw a quarter rest. You could look in your book and just kind of copy it. But I think of right, left, right, swoop. Kind of like a weird Z with a little swoosh at the bottom. All right, so 1 equals 1. Now we have arrived at the next one. So we have a half note, a quarter rest, and a quarter rest. If you added this plus this plus this, what number do you come up with? And you might already get it really fast, but let's just analyze it. I see this one, so that's there. I see that one there and that one there again. So we've got, looks like 2 plus 1 plus 1. And 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals, that's right, 4. So what note or rest do you have to put on this side to equal 4? And that answer would be, well, you could put a whole note there. Let's get rid of all this extra stuff now so we can see a little bit better. So 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. So you could put a whole note, which equals 4, or take that out of there, you could put a whole rest. A whole rest. Like that. Now remember we talked about the half rest and the whole rest being upside down? By the way, I forgot to put a whole rest down here. How about I just go ahead and put that in right now? Draw that like that. And the way I remember whole rest, you know, the word whole or entire is with a W. But I think of a whole rest, the way I draw it or the way I think of the shape is, it's like a hole that if you were walking along and you could fall inside the hole. And that hole is H-O-L-E. So whole and whole is how I remember whole rests. Half and hat is how I remember half rests. And now we're on to the very last one. And this last one on the left-hand side of the teeter-totter is a half rest. So when I think of how to draw a half rest, I think of a hat like that. I color that in. Now, that's already there for you. You have to decide half equals what on this side? Well, how many beats is that? At this point, that is 2 beats long. And if that's a 2, then 2 equals what? What is one note or one rest you could put on this side? Right, well, obviously you could put another half rest on that side, but let's pick a note instead. A note would be that one right there, a half. All right, let me get rid of this stuff up here because half equals half. A half rest equals a half note. Now, understanding all of this is great, but in Sharps and Flats with Kingsley, you know what my angle is so many band directors and when I grew up, we jumped right into counting these and we had to say 1 or 1, 2, which does make sense, but I think it's so much more fun to say juices and cockadoodle and pineapple and all those fun words. Now, if we were in person, I would use other words too. It's just that I try to keep things very similar and very constant in Sharps and Flats with Kingsley. So that's why we call this juice, hot sauce, half rest, green eggs and ham. And this is, do you remember what that one is? Cotton candy. Okay, I encourage you. How about today, the next thing you go practice? Think inside your head, look at the measures and apply this. You only have to do it a couple times to really think about it. Just look at your music and say, why does this measure have 4 beats in it? What combination of these equals 4? It might be that today, during doing this, you're kind of a light bulb went on, but when you go to actually write it in your book and you have to physically think about it without this video, you might go, oh, I get it now. Kingsley's always been saying juice, but now I get it. Juice is 1 syllable. Or he's always been saying green eggs and ham. Oh, I get it. 4 syllables, 4 beats, 4 foot taps. Go for it, everybody. Do something today to utilize this in your music as you're counting, just to kind of, bring it all together. All right, until I see you in the next video, stay nice and sharp. Bye.